Assalamualaikum and good evening. You're now with me, Yusuf Shukri, for TVS Nightline. The transition to green products and renewable energy is gaining global traction as it offers advantages in terms of financing and market opportunities. Premier Datuk Petinggi Tan Sri Abang Johari Tunopeng says that the current wave of modernization is benefiting the green energy sector and creating opportunities for local companies in Sarawak to take the lead in the field.
In other words, their raw material has to be green material. But for instance, the steel, in the process they need steel, and this steel must be produced based on green technology. So they want to be green. So once the process is green, then the product will be green product. And if you have all this green process, then the institution of banking will finance you based on the need, the global need of green product.
He also adds that TVET programs, through collaboration with local companies, will enhance the skills of Sarawakian youth for the renewable energy industry.
What we are doing now is to produce that's why TVET is very important, for us to produce the graduates that are suitable to the new era. But the new era will be renewable energy era. In other words, when you compare market petrol in Middle East, kini tu di Sarawak lah for the new era. So therefore, our policy must be consistent.
At the same time, Abang Johari reveals that GEDONG has the potential to be a source of natural hydrogen due to its abundance of peat soil. However, he stressed that further studies are required before any development can take place.
If there is a volume there, then we have natural gas and natural hydrogen. Co-water is a hydrogen element. S2O, hydrogen is lighter. That's why yang keluar. So we are going to do that. Maknanya banyak natural gas dilawas di GEDONG mana juga yo. Yes, kita mula filing di GEDONG keluar gas. Keluar gas kita ya apa, tapi volume kita sih tahu. But they want is indication. So what we need is scientists to go there.
Earlier, preliminary studies by Petros indicated signs of potential onshore oil and gas deposits in the Limbang and Laos areas, including GEDONG. At the same time, Abang Johari calls on local industries to remain adaptable and competitive as Sarawak positions itself within the broader ASEAN market. Local industries should not rely solely on the Malaysian market, but must also tap into opportunities across the ASEAN region, supported by improved connectivity and strategic infrastructure development.
As you know, European Union, they are imposing levy. If your product is not through the green process, then there is a penalty to it. In other words, the cost, the price will be high, and you have to pay the levy.
The SWG Green Energy Complex and Decarbonization Hub launched today will serve as a catalyst for industrial transformation in Sarawak, with plans to fully capitalize on opportunities arising from the global transition towards sustainable and low carbon. The United States and Iran have agreed to a broad net framework aimed at ending the conflict and reopening the Strait of Hormuz, in a move that is already triggering diplomatic and economic reactions across the region and beyond. While the agreement is being presented as a step towards de-escalation, questions remain over implementation, security guarantees, and its wider regional implications. And for more details, we will be joined by Hendy Gui.
Right, thank you, Yusuf. The United States and Iran announced an agreement to end the conflict across West Asia and reopen the Strait of Hormuz, raising hopes for regional stability after months of violence and economic disruption. The US and mediator Pakistan say the agreement is set to be signed in Switzerland on Friday, with support from Saudi Arabia and other regional powers. The deal is expected to reopen the Strait of Hormuz, a key global oil shipping route that has been blockaded by Iran since the start of the conflict. Iran says the agreement brings an immediate end to the war, with further talks planned within 2 months to seek a permanent settlement. Israel, however, says its forces will remain in Lebanon, Syria, and Gaza despite the agreement's aim of ending hostilities across all fronts. In new developments, Iranian media report that Tehran secured a last-minute addition to its framework agreement with the U.S. involving maritime service fees in the Strait of Hormuz. State-affiliated Fars news agency, citing an informed source, says the agreement is amended to emphasize Iranian-Omani sovereignty over the strategic waterway. The report also says the inclusion of the term maritime services indicates U.S. acceptance of fees for vessels using the strait. In response, Israel's far-right leaders have rejected the agreement, saying it fails to address their security concerns. National Security Minister Itamar Ben-Gvir says Israel is not bound by the deal and insists the campaign against Hezbollah must continue until the group is fully dismantled. Its finance minister also criticizes the deal, saying Israel must continue its efforts to counter Iran and prevent it from acquiring nuclear weapons. He adds that Israel must intensify its military campaign in Lebanon and maintain full freedom of action against Hezbollah, despite the broader regional agreement. Now turning to financial markets, shares in Japan and South Korea surged following the announcement of the U.S.-Iran agreement to end the conflict in the Middle East. Japan's benchmark Nikkei 225 closes 5.0% higher at 69,317.50, while South Korea's Kospi index rises 5.2% as investor sentiment improves across the region. In Europe, France and the United Kingdom say a joint military mission set up to support traffic through the Strait of Hormuz is ready for deployment following the U.S.-Iran agreement. French President Emmanuel Macron says the mission's assets are in place and ready to be activated, stressing that unrestricted maritime movement is crucial for regional stability and the global economy. The initiative comes as Washington and Tehran move towards formalizing a deal to end the war and reopen the strategic waterway. On the economic front, Iranian media report that the U.S. is set to release billions of dollars in frozen Iranian assets as part of the framework underpinning talks between both sides. MEHR news agency says a 14-page MOU outlines the release of up to $24 billion in frozen funds during a 60-day negotiation period. According to the report, about $12 billion would be made available to Iran before talks begin, although the document has not been officially confirmed. Finally, Iran says talks with the U.S. are expected to begin within 2 months as both sides move towards a long-term settlement. Iran's Deputy Foreign Minister Kazem Garibabadi says the negotiations aim to reach a final agreement, with implementation expected to be a key priority. The remarks come after both countries announced a framework deal to end the conflict and reopen the Strait of Hormuz. Now that's all I have for now. Back to you, Yusuf.
Thank you, Andy. And a quick update in the Philippines following a massive earthquake that inundated the country earlier in June. Another earthquake with a magnitude of 6.3 jolted Mindanao earlier this morning, according to the GFZ German Research Center for Geosciences. Concurrently, Xinhua reports the epicenter, with a depth of 116.8 kilometers, was initially determined to be at 6.14 degrees north latitude and 126.85 degrees east longitude. The country's Environment Department states the earthquake effectively raised the seabed by as much as 2 meters, exposing coral and harming marine life. Meanwhile, a report by The Guardian states that at least 40 people went missing from the incident, and locals also reported that the shorelines extended by as much as 200 meters in several places. Welcome back. Federal and state government agencies are stepping up preparedness measures to mitigate the impact of a strong El Niño phenomenon, which is expected to persist until early next year. In a media statement, the Natural Resources and Environmental Sustainability Ministry (NRES) says preparedness strategies are response measures were presented by relevant agencies at the First National Haze and Dry Weather Steering Committee (JIJCKK) meeting for 2026 held today. According to the ministry, the weather phenomenon is expected to bring reduced rainfall and hotter, drier conditions than usual, with potential implications for agriculture, reservoir water levels, public health, and the risk of open burning and haze. The committee agreed that all relevant departments and agencies should convene coordination meetings to ensure effective early action, while strengthening preventive and monitoring measures to curb open burning, haze, and recurring fire incidents. It also states that special focus will be applied for peatland infrastructure, machinery, and human resources to ensure that fires can be extinguished quickly while preventing localized haze incidents. Additionally, the ministry states the Fire and Rescue Department would also prepare its logistics and manpower resources to address the impact of the southwest monsoon. Meanwhile, the National Disaster Management Agency (NADMA), the Malaysian Meteorology Department (Met Malaysia), and the Royal Malaysian Air Force have been placed on standby to carry out cloud seeding operations in affected areas subject to suitable atmospheric conditions. Each appointed leader in the country must ensure that all government relief and assistance initiatives benefit every Malaysian, regardless of their background. Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim says the Madani government prioritizes the well-being of the poor, particularly those living in urban areas, to ensure they are not left behind as the country continues to develop rapidly. He says the urban poor currently face significant challenges in accessing justice compared with those who are wealthy and influential.
Saya, walaupun sekarang Perdana Menteri, saya tahu susah dalam hal-hal seperti ini. Bila sentuh orang-orang kaya, tuntun, apa masalah rasuah ke, penyalahgunaan kuasa, wah, yang lobi cukup kuat pertahan mereka. Bila nak bantu orang miskin, dia setinggan macam ini, dan rumah panjang, tak ada suara pun.
Anwar spoke during the groundbreaking ceremony for Bukit Kiara Longhouse residents, where financial assistance of 100,000 ringgit was announced by Minister Federal Territories Hannah Yeoh for the well-being of the people.
Sebab itu, rakyat mesti berhati-hati apabila memilih kepada siapa kuasa itu diserahkan. Apabila kita memilih pemimpin yang betul, yang bersih, masalah yang berlarutan boleh diselesaikan. Tetapi apabila kita memilih pemimpin yang salah, padang awam boleh hilang dan rakyat terus menunggu tanpa kepastian.
And those were the updates on TVS Nightline. Thank you for watching. Assalamualaikum and good night.